Hey guys, hope you are all doing well, and today I have a replay for you in the Super Chaffee, the recent reward tank that was given out to all players for their long and frustrating couple of years of service in this game. And what do I think of the Super Chaffee? I think it is a bad T-37 basically. So why do I think that? This tank has pretty bad uh, gun penetration, it has pretty bad gun handling, it has pretty bad DPM, um, especially compared to what I've just opened fire at the Type 64. And do I like this thing? Surprisingly, yes, I do like it. And now why is that? It's a tier 6 light tank, basically, and I do love these mid-tier light tanks. I think they play really well. For a couple of years, the T-37 was my favourite tank in the game until it was changed in the light tank rework, which introduced tier 10 light tanks. And the Super Chaffee is it's just basically trying to give a nostalgia effect to the players who had the Chaffee back when it was a little monster at tier 5, which I still think it is, but it's a much different tank compared to those days when it could see tier 10 and get those crazy 2000 base XP scores. But do I think this was a good reward tank? Well, what I want to know, Wargaming, is why did you feel you had to nerf this thing into the ground? Like, as I said, this thing, gun handling and DPM is way worse than the T-37, and why didn't they just make it the same? That's what I want to know. For example, the T-37 has much better shell velocity on its standard and APCR rounds, and I find myself loading the premium ammo in this tank not because of the penetration but because of the shell velocity. The APCR shell velocity on this thing is about, I think it's 992, which isn't great but it's workable. And the standard ammo only gets 790, something like that. And I'm not going to lie, I find it difficult to work with that shell velocity. And the penetration of this tank isn't great either. I'm having to fire APCR at the side of this KV2 to reliably penetrate him. And he angles slightly, I managed to track him, I don't know how either. And turn my attention to the Type 64, and then the artillery gets spotted. And now you see me loading an HE round, and the HE on this tank can work. It works really well for artillery because if you're firing standard AP, you would require quite a few rounds to take out the artillery, whilst you can do 200 damage per shot if you hit and penetrate the target, that is. I've done 600 damage to an SU-130 in this tank in 3 shots, which is 6 seconds reloads, basically. So, yeah, the damage output of this tank isn't great, but if you can find the right target for the HE ammo, it turns really good all of a sudden. So, one Serene Coast, probably one of the worst maps for me in the game, and I've gone on a rampage in this thing. Back in the day, me and the T-37, we used to feast on tier 8s in that tank. It's convinced me to Super Chaffee, I've got to be honest, to bring the T-37 out of retirement. I've not played it since it was changed. I still think, and I realise now, since the T-37 is such a better tank compared to this thing, that probably trying the T-37 again is probably worth it. And the SU-130 gets spotted right next to me. I ignore him because I want to finish off this Chaffee. He unfortunately knocks out my own teammate, but he doesn't get the reload off to put a shot into me. And now I'm certainly poking the fire with this SU. He's looking right at me, probably pre-aimed. He's reloaded, and I'm out trading him here, but I poke out a little bit too far here and he knocks me out. But still, 2.8k damage that we saw, and 800 spotting. That is not a bad result indeed. And in fact, we did hit some blind shots there. Of course, in the artillery, we managed to do 3k damage, 5 kills. Pretty decent result. Nearly 1600 base experience. And we, even though we fired a lot of premium ammo, we managed to make 16k credits. But that is today's replay, guys. It was a quick one, I know. I'll be streaming on Twitch this evening if you guys are interested. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next.